Welcome back to the Infernal 403 podcast. This is episode 3. I do have some bad news to share with our viewers here. Our esteemed leader, Hakan Lube's helmet, also known as Vi, we decided to part ways with him. We figured that it was time to get rid of his old ass and move on with the young kids, as Pranil Prasad can attest to.
Yeah, we sent him to talking to the retirement home where he belongs. So goodbye, you old son of a gun.
I like it. No, he just couldn't make it to today's stream, so I'll be the one moderating. You can call me Kof or Kofi. I go by Kof or Kofi Crisp on Twitter. And today we have two special guests with us. We have the God of Analytics on Flame's Twitter, as he's been proclaimed, Flashalytics. How's it going today?
It's good, man. I'm glad to be here.
Perfect. And with us, we have the leader of the Double Digit and Johnny Rants podcast, John Easthope. Thanks for being with us here today.
Hey, my pleasure, guys. Thanks for having me.
Awesome. So today I'm going to start with Flash here. We have another co-host with us, Jen, who didn't make it today. But she and I had a conversation not long ago where she called herself the Don Cherry of our podcast, which I heavily disagree with because she's 100 times the person Don Cherry is inside and out. But she does she thinks of the game in an old school way where it's all about the eye test and who's tougher and that sort of thing, right? It's not really up to analytics for her. So, Flash, I'm going to put you on the spot here, since you're the God of Analytics of Flames Twitter. Go ahead and sell analytics to the viewers, to Jen, to people who don't really put analytics in a perspective where it should be, and kind of tell us where it's going to grow the game.
Gladly. I love analytics because they're a tool. They help me grow what I already can understand from the game, from viewing it and watching it. It helps wrap things up so you can understand. It is also used as a tool to help evaluate, but it's never the whole picture. It's a piece to help you grow and get better. Understanding the number one thing we found from watching games is one of the hardest things to evaluate is defensive talent, and analytics can capture that in a sense of when you're looking at shot rates or quality of shots against, and it's something that you can't really catch with the eye test completely. So you use them both together and you're playing with a full deck of cards instead of just 26. So they help you to understand. It's never players' responsibility to understand what the numbers mean. That should be someone else's, someone who's paid to understand them, and they should be able to communicate them, whether it's through video or through the coaching staff of, hey, say Matthew Tkachuk's been giving up a lot of quality chances recently. I went to the video coach. I got some video from when he was playing great and some video from this little slump, and you can see maybe he's leaving his half wall a little early. Maybe he's not getting on the inside of the defenders as much, but it's up to you to see where those low trends are and when those high trends are, and then properly communicate to the player in ways that can actually help them on the ice, rather than just saying, hey man, your scoring chance rates are down. Like, they're going to brush you off immediately and you're going to look silly. So it's about turning the analytics that you can measure on the ice into viable solutions or helpful tips to help the players improve. So they're wonderful to me. They're not everyone's cup of tea, but if anyone's ever willing to learn or understand, see a stat they don't know, they can always get a hold of me, and I'll always help them learn. So,
thank you very much for that explanation there, Flash. I definitely agree with you, because in other sports, you see how analytics have sort of been used. I don't know if any of our viewers have seen the sports drama Moneyball, where the Oakland Athletics back in the early 2000s had to build a team with not very much money, and they went in the direction of analytics. So I figure in hockey, there's a lot of randomness to hockey, but I feel like analytics is an important part of the game. So thank you very much for selling it to us. I think you did a very good job. So I'll move on to John here real quick. John, if you could quickly explain to us how you balance two podcasts and how you kind of got your start in podcasting, if you would please.
Yeah, it's all about time management, Kofi. It's all about prioritizing what you need to do for each show. So for myself, I've always had the love of broadcasting and sports media. So I started small. Started writing blogs, and then I started putting some of those blogs audio versions out. And from there, it evolved into the show known now as the Double Digit Hockey Show, where it's just my thoughts, my feelings on the show, and it expanded. And the more I talked about it, the more I grew my fan base and those who like to listen to my show. And that have evolved into people wanting to come on the show, and I've been able to have some awesome guests come on my show. So that and foremost is time management. It's all about, having a plan, knowing what you want to talk about, knowing who you want to talk to and what about. And it's pretty easy to get two shows from a lot of show prep. I always over prepare. That's one thing the great broadcaster Peter Lombardi has taught me, is you over prepare, and over preparing. What you hear on the Johnny's Rants show, so my second show, are usually left over from my prep of the Double Digit Hockey Show. So, Kofi, to answer your question, it's all about having the love of broadcasting and then using your time wisely. All about time management for me.
Perfect response. Thank you for explaining that to us. Hopefully, you can have some of us on one of your podcasts one day. Maybe not Pernille. You don't want that. You don't want that issue. So. But anyone?
I have had Noah on two of my shows, so I have had the privilege so far.
Well, I would say Noah's one of the best additions we've made to this show. Pernille, not so much, but no, I'm just joking. I love Pernille. But okay. Before I opened up the floor to everyone, I sort of wanted to start a discussion. Let's start with John. I saw something on your Twitter, and I kind of want Pernille to hop in on this once you explain it, or anyone else for that matter. But I saw you say something about so the big hot topic on Flames Twitter right now is whether Monahan stays or goes, whether he gets traded, whether he stays a Flame this offseason. And Sean Monahan, we all know, is the man who kicked off the rebuild to this current era of the Flames. And you had outlined that maybe keeping Monahan might be a good idea because you believe he's due for a bounce back season. Do you want to expand on that before Pernille responds there?
Yeah, absolutely. Sean Monahan gets a lot of hate for what people expect him to be and what they've seen in the past, and fair enough. For me, though, Sean Monahan is poised to be a big bounce back candidate. Injuries have played the last 2 years, and so it plays with your numbers. It plays with your analytical numbers. It plays with your actual with your big stats that everyone knows. But the guy is still in his prime years. He's still in a very affordable contract. And he's a guy that you could almost make a reclamation project on your own team. He doesn't need to be the number one center on the Flames anymore. You can move this guy, make him a left winger, put him down the lineup a little bit more, and still have an effective hockey player at this point in his career. His age gives you that. His contract gives you that. And I'm in the belief that if he has a full off season, he can have a good preparation for the coming up season, rest up, heal up. This guy is poised to be able to bounce back and to have another, I'm not going to say another 30 goal season, but he can be poised to actually be a pretty effective hockey player.
All right, I really like that response because personally, Sean Monahan is one of my favorite Flames. It's been hard being a Monahan fan lately, as you guys all know. The team has been mismanaging him. He has been playing up the standards. So, Pernille, I'd like to really hear your thoughts on what John put out there.
It's a different perspective. For me, I just think Sean Monahan as a number one center doesn't work. I never thought of him as a number two, but I just feel like there's been a lot of rumors of Gaudreau, Chucky, changing of the core. I mean, I think the GM is going to make a splash here. I mean, he has to. This same core cannot come back because they just can't get it done. Which is what I'm going to ask both you guys. I mean, we're hearing a lot of rumors. What's your thoughts on all these trades? I'll start with Flash this time.
Well, I can tell you, the Matthew Tkachuk stuff is actually, if you actually listen to what Shane O'Brien said on the radio hit, he said Matthew Tkachuk would like to one day play in St. Louis. He didn't say that. He said nothing about him wanting to leave Calgary. All he mentioned was that he'd like to play in St. Louis one day. So that one right there, well, the Flames fans blew it out of proportion, and so much so that it started trending. And Jay Fresh shared it on Twitter, and he's got a big audience. And anyways, it blew up. There was a tweet today. Someone said they asked their source within the Flames organization about it, and they were very adamant and quite angrily so that the Tkachuk rumors were absolutely false. So the Flames actually really don't have many plans to move Matthew Tkachuk. He did rebound in the second half of the year. He got lost there for a while, but he's played 4 years. He's one of the guys you want to keep and build around. Especially so the extra thing he brings, you don't get from very many people in the league. So you best make him happy, because that's something everyone wants. Everyone wants the Corey Perry, Brad Marchand effect, and the Flames have that in Tkachuk. The other thing is the Johnny Gaudreau rumors that we've heard. He went out of his way to tell us he wanted to stay on purpose. He wants to stay. He wants to play here, but it's a matter. Hockey is a business. I think Johnny Gaudreau should stay. I think he's a player you win with. He's won at every level he's ever played at. And then the third piece of that core is Monahan. And I think the Jack Eichel stuff right now, everyone's waiting to see what's happened there. I don't think the Flames have the horses to get in on Jack Eichel, not even close. But if Jack Eichel does get traded, a lot of secondary options for guys would be circling back to hey, is Sean Monahan available? Because he's proven goal scorer. He's played tons of time. He's second in his draft class behind Nathan McKinnon in goals scored. I think the market would open up significantly, much so that Brad Treliving could get a good haul. We saw with the Bennett trade that he's not just going to give away players that he values for nothing. He's going to wait until he gets at least something decent back. So I don't think Monahan's going to be moved for the sake of being moved, but I also think some teams might be willing to pony up a lot that's worthwhile. It'd be worthwhile trading him. So those are the big three rumors we're hearing right now. The expansion draft's a whole nother story. We got to get into that maybe a little later, but for the trade rumors around those three, those are my thoughts.
Great thoughts. Made some strong points right there, John. It's been a long season, man. That was a rough season. All these rumors are coming out. What are your thoughts on all these trade rumors? And the number one thing I think that this group we've talked about on the Infernal 403, and what we've been hearing is this team can't come back with the same core. Your thoughts?
Yeah, they can come back with the same core. That's blatantly obvious that this core can't get it done. I agree with everything that Flash said there. There's a lot of rumors out there of these guys being moved or not being moved, and these guys out there and that out there. It's all rumors, and it comes down to the fact of where is this team wanting to head for me. It's less about this guy has to go or that guy has to go. It's more about what is the long-term goal for the Flames here? What is the long-term goal for this current group? And there will be some changes. There always are some changes. It's how bold does Brad want to be when making these changes? I think the Jack Eichel thing's a far fairy tale. The Flames should be looking at that secondary market that Flash alluded to. Maybe they're the ones that circle back on a guy like a Sam Reinhart. Maybe they circle back on a guy like a Jake DeBrusk. Those type of names, and bring those guys into your core and help your core. People think that shaking up the core has to mean that someone needs to leave as well. That doesn't always necessarily need to happen as well. Shaking up your core can be bringing in a young piece, another good piece. Mark Giordano, if he's the one taking in the expansion draft, there's salary cap opened up that way. There's other ways of creating room and bringing guys into your core without actually subtracting anyone. So that is always an option as well. We heard these same things last offseason, and Brad found a way to just add to the core and keep going with the same group. So it'd be interesting to see which route he takes this year, but I do think someone's leaving, and I do think someone's coming in, though.
I agree with you and everything you said. I'm going to pass it to Noah.
Before you pass it to Noah, I saw a frown on his face. It didn't look good. So I want to know what Noah's thinking right now, because I saw him lean back. He had the arms crossed. So he's thinking. The gears are turning in his head. So Noah, tell us what you're thinking right now.
Well, I think if everybody has seen me on Twitter talk about it, I think everybody knows what I would do, but it'll never happen because Murray Edwards is as stubborn as it is. I personally said it, and I'll keep saying it. The Flames, I think, need to, completely tear down and start over. This franchise has never gone through a proper rebuild, whether it be, the disaster in the late 90s, early 2000s, whether it be the one we were just in. I'm not saying it'll work out right to the point where we get a first overall pick and we win the Stanley Cup. I mean, that doesn't happen every time, but I think it's worth a try. That this franchise does need to go through a proper rebuild and start over and actually build elite talent up from the bottom up.
Noah, you're breaking my heart. You don't think we can win with the core we have? You don't think we can do anything with the core we have? I think we have some good pieces.
I don't think so. With this exact core right now, no, because this core's been together for 7 years now, and where has it gone? So for me, with this core we can't win, but if you can make a change or two, depending on what that change particularly is, who knows?
Oh, Noah, you're too pessimistic for me. I'm gonna let you stew in the corner for a little bit. I'm going to kick it to Chris. Chris, ask your questions, and then we'll come back to you once you're a little bit calmed down. Noah. Chris, go ahead.
I'm going to have to continue on what Noah said. Not really continue, but more of a rebuttal. I don't think doing a rebuild is smart at all. Daryl Sutter didn't come in for a rebuild, so he definitely wouldn't be opposed to that. However, and then the whole Monahan thing, I think it's kind of stupid how we get it. Monahan has to go and all that stuff. I understand that, but to trade him right now, we won't get much for him. We're not going to get enough, and it's just there's no point. I would say I always say this. I always say it. Just wait till next season. Wait till the trade deadline, and then go on from there. Because doing any big trades right now is just, in my opinion, it's not smart. I definitely don't see a rebuild happening. The whole rumors of Kachuk and Gaudreau and all that, it's always happens every offseason. There's always rumors about the same people, about the same stuff. However, aside from that, I'm going to go on and talk about the analytics with Flash here. Flash, my question for you is, what's your favorite part of the analytics? What part do you enjoy the most about it all?
I love how I can catch trends. So I do analytical analysis after every game. I was doing it at a great writing site called Matchsticks and Gasoline. I've moved for this coming season. I've moved to Flames Nation, and I do an analytical analysis where I go through every stat card of every player and I say, okay, who was the best here, who was the worst here, and I get to see trends. So 6 games into the season, last season, I saw Giordano and Anderson just getting buried. They're getting buried in chances. They were getting buried in quality against and possession numbers. And so when you watch the next game, since I knew that was happening, I would make a point to focus on them and see what was happening. And then you can see when they struggle, you can see when they thrive and whatnot. And so I was able to catch lots of trends just as it was going on. And you can see, okay, these guys aren't working together. Every time they play, Dominic Simone just couldn't fit in. no matter where he played, he just nothing worked for him. So they eventually recognized that too and got him out of the lineup. But that's my favorite thing to do is catch trends. And I got something excited coming for this next season. I'm going to start charting stuff myself here. I got a few programs, and you might see eventually late summer, depending on my work schedule, if I might be able to get some rolling charts from last season out, like some 5-game averages and stuff on almost all stats. But that's my favorite thing is catching the trends.
Nice. Yeah, I like that question or answer. Sorry. John, I'm going to go to you. I have always enjoyed your podcast and your rants. They're entertaining to watch, and I learn a lot from all your podcasts for sure. My question for you is, what was your favorite guest you've had on your podcast?
Well, first off, thanks for that, Chris. My action. This sounds like recency bias, but my favorite show that I did was the one I had this last Thursday. I had Kevin from Heroes Hockey on my show talking about his winning the Willie O'Ree Award from the NHL and about the program and about what they did. And a really good interview that he did. He brought a lot of energy to the show, and it was remarkable how his journey brought him to where it is and that program. So check out that show as well. And I'll give an honorable mentions to having Chris Cuthbert on my show. He was my broadcasting hero as I was growing up, and hearing him call hockey games and having a 20-minute chat with him was pretty special for me.
All right, yeah, perfect. I haven't listened to that episode yet, but I do plan on to. I'm pretty excited to listen to that. I'll pass it over back to Kof.
Perfect. Thank you. John, where can we find your podcast? I'd like to start listening to them myself. Is it just anywhere you can find podcasts? Or?
I don't have it on Apple Podcasts, but I always have the links up on my Twitter. The ASTV has picked up my Double Digit Hockey Show, so you can find it on the ASTV YouTube page and their channel on astvproductions.com. And then for Johnny's Rants, that one is a live show that I put out afterwards with a link to my YouTube page, and there's a link to the Podbean where you can find that show at.
Perfect. Thank you for...
So there's always links on my social media.
Awesome. And definitely follow John. We'll circle back to at the end. We'll get you'll figure out where to follow these guys and everything. But thank you for explaining that to me, John. And so certainly, last but not least, Noah, let's hear it. Let's hear what you got from these guys.
Okay, thank you very much, Kof. So my first question is for Flash. What does underlying analytics mean to you?
I touched on it a bit earlier. The underlying, like if you're talking like transitional stats and shot rates, Corey Snatter, I probably murdering his last name. I apologize to him, but he's on Twitter. He tracks transitional stats, and that's something not a lot of people look for. And the transitional stats are fun to me because they see controlled zone exits and controlled zone entries and transitional play in the neutral zone. Like who can carry the puck from your zone to the other zone. Everyone in the NHL is so good, and trying to weave through these guys is not easy because they've been doing it their whole lives, training to stop. So it's fun to go to that and track who is fantastic at zone entries. And it's no surprise to me that the Islanders made it as far as they did because Matt Barzal is amazing at it. Other players that are really good are like William Nylander, and our own Johnny Gaudreau is absolutely top tier. Those kind of things, they play in to me a little bit, not as much as you think. Like you want to build your core around strong play driving centers and good zone exiting defensemen. I believe an average goaltender can get it done if you have a strong team in front of you. It's going to sound like a terrible take with the Stanley Cup final the way it is right now, but I believe that the teams in front of them are playing stronger hockey, and it makes it easier on the goaltender. Things like that. Shot rates. It's completely different from the playoffs to the regular season, but protecting the slot is a good strategy. As you've seen, Dallas played a strong defensive game, and they made it all the way to the Cup final last year. Islanders 2 years in a row to the conference final. You got the Habs all the way through everybody this year playing strong crease protection system. It's those kind of things, those are the kind of underlyings I look for. I'm always messing around. If I'm bored, I'll just go into Evolving Hockey, or I love hockeyviz.com from Ineffective Math on Twitter, and look at defensive shot rates and capitalizations from teams. I'm just always, when I'm bored, I go looking for something, trying to find trends and whatnot. But I do, they're again, every little bit's part of it. It takes 50 puzzle pieces, and underlying metrics might factor into maybe only two or three. So it's just a piece of the puzzle. You got to have more than just that. So,
you described it pretty well. Like, it's a piece of the puzzle, right? But as I always say too, it's like it's definitely not the end all of hockey at all. But it's also important, and a very important stat. And yeah, like if people are ignoring analytics at this point, then you're probably pretty ignorant, to think that analytics is not really a thing. So thanks for that answer there, Flash. So my next question here is for John. So how did you find the love to start your shows that you've been doing for the last little while here?
Well, that's a good question. I don't know where it came from, but I've always been intrigued of how a broadcast happens, from radio side of things, TV side of things. I'm always how they can paint a picture. That's why Chris Cupper was one of the guys that I loved listening to when I was growing up. I'm not sure how old the rest of you are, and if any of you remember who Ed Whalen is, the longtime broadcaster for that the Flames had, who used to do games on the old 2 and 7 channel on TV there, way back in the day. He was another one of my heroes growing up, watching him call games and watching how he would just paint the picture and make it seem like so much fun. And he brought an already live event to even more life and another level. Peter Marr was really good at doing the same thing on the radio. So the love of broadcasting came from a young age. It's amazing to see these guys grow and see these guys just the wordsmiths that they are. I can only achieve, if I could achieve a small portion of what I heard from those guys and how they did it, I'm going to be a great broadcaster myself. A really good, nice guy to listen to nowadays is Brad Curl, who does the Hitman radio broadcast. He been in the WHL since I was like 12. He's been around so long, and just the way that he goes about his business, the professionalism, and then how down to earth these guys are. You meet some of these guys in person. I say I had Chris Cupper on my show, and I hold this guy in his high level. He comes on my show, and it's like talking to your uncle or your brother. These guys are so down to earth, and the love of the game that they have is the same love that we have, and it's awesome to see those two worlds intersect. So the love is because it's part of the sport. I love the sport. I love what it brings, and I love to bring that sport to other people.
Very well said, my friend. Thank you both for the answers, and I will pass it back along to Cove.
Thanks, Noah. I really like how you guys outlined everything that was asked of you. So I kind of want to. We've talked a lot about the present and the future. I kind of want to kick it back to the past, and I'm going to use Flash for this example. For what I want to say here, I'm sure everyone's seen. I'm sure everyone's seen your pinned tweet at this point. I know Pernille will like it. I know Chris will like it. I know Noah will like it. So we don't have data past, I guess, the 2007-2008 season, but on your pinned tweet there, Flash, you've outlined about how when Daryl Sutter was coaching the team back then, where Damon Lankow, Joe McGinley, and was it Christian Huselius had very, very good underlying numbers. So I want to concentrate specifically on Damon Lankow. What do you see out of him as a center that you're not seeing out of what we have today? Or maybe what are you seeing?
Actually, you can find Damon Lankow's defensive game in Derek Ryan's. They're actually very, very similar. If you go back and look at all the numbers, Damon Lankow was an elite defensive center. Guy should have probably had way more Selke votes than he ever did. He was underrated, and it's just unfortunate how his career ended, taking that. I think he took that puck off the spine, and it kind of just a freak accident. But he was the best center the Flames have had since Joe Nieuwendyk. He was. Sean Monahan's a bit more offensive, but all around Damon Lankow was the best center we've probably had. A lot of people might give old Craigie some love. Old Craigie Conroy, he played well with Iginla. The chemistry there was fantastic, but I do believe that. I see a lot of strong defensive centermen. Modern day guys would be like Anthony Chiarelli, who from Tampa, molded like that. It was fantastic. And then you had the pure finisher and the competitor in Jerome, someone that we got the pleasure to watch, just a legend every single day, compete, never quit. And then the perfect complementary was the passer, Mr. Huselius, old Juice. And he was just, I grew up, that was me. That's what I grew up watching, was those guys. That's where I found my love of hockey. The Flames went on their run in 2004, and then in 2005, 2006, I was watching a broadcast, and Hammerlick passed it to Huselius, who dropped it to Lankow. And I looked at my father, and I went, who are those guys? I was like, they weren't on the team. They weren't on the cup run team. What the heck? And that's when I realized players can change teams, and it sparked an unfounded love for this game and everything about it. From contracts to players and into statistics, because I've just always been it's weird to say math lover, but historically, Damon Lankow, Stefan Yell was tremendous defensively. What I'm not seeing out of the guys today, well, actually, I do see it a bit in Michael Backlund. Michael Backlund was fantastic in his role this year. I do believe Monahan made a massive effort to compete like that. I think he got a little lost, and then again he got hurt as well. When you're hurt and you're playing hurt and you know you're hurt, it takes a bit out of you. You can't always get to the level you want to get to. So I'm not holding that against him. Derek Ryan was fantastic. I remember tweeting it out. Derek Ryan went like 8 games without letting a high danger chance against him at some point this year, right after Sutter took over. Like 8 games, and you didn't let a single shot from the slot on while you were on the ice. It was fantastic. So the pieces are there. I do think the Flames still need to find themselves a true number 1 centerman. They haven't had one since they traded Joe Nieuwendyk away. Monahan came close. He became a proper second line offensive center, but they just haven't quite got that first center they've been looking for. And it's a lot of pressure to put on kids. You just hope Connor Zary could turn out like that, but I'm not expecting it. It'd be nice, but I'm not expecting it. So there's a lot of pieces and they're all doing the right jobs, but Lankow, it just worked.
So I guess my follow-up question there, and John can jump in on this too. What do you think that Daryl Sutter can do for the guys that we have now? Because he was the coach back then, and they had the stats they did. I don't know. Do you think it's more? Do you think he can elevate our players now to what he had back then, or do you think he needs to cycle things out, or what do you think there?
I do. I think I saw a significant every time they got extended practice time. I saw the team come back and compete way harder, and they actually were on an absolutely tremendous run at the end of the season. They were so close to actually catching Montreal. They had an 82-game season. They were in the playoffs. I genuinely believe that. They were playing lights out. There was a 10-game stretch where they didn't let more than 2 goals in at any given game. It was amazing. I know John can jump in here too, what he saw, but it was defensively good, and they were all playing to their strengths. Johnny started getting points again. That new look top line was clicking, and it looked like it was finally starting to roll. The D pairs, they split them up. Gio and Anderson wasn't working, and then all of a sudden the team started rolling.
A lot of people are calling Daryl Dinosaur Daryl, but one thing that I think he did do that he's not getting credit for, much like Flash was alluding to there, is he realized what he had after a few games. He realized what he had in some of these guys, and he was able to take what he knows is a winning way of hockey and find roles for some of these guys, like the Tanev pairing, like these other guys being moved around, and then guys like Derek Ryan flourish under a coach like that. So you're going to get your depth working. You have these guys in these better roles that they're supposed to be in. And then the one hope for Sutter going into next season is if he has a guy like a Sean Monahan, realize what he is as well and put him in a position to succeed. Kachuk was put in a spot to succeed when he was put on that top line with Lindholm and Gaudreau. Those other two guys were put in a position to succeed. Mangiapane was put in a place where he was comfortable and could succeed. So the Dinosaur Daryl thing, I'm not buying into that people are putting out there. He recognized what we have, what he has at his disposal. And like Flash alluded to, they were not letting in more than 2 goals in a lot of those games, and they were really close to catching Montreal.
The other thing not a lot of people notice was the practice. The assistant coaches actually, like Ray Edwards, he ran the forwards in the power play, and he was moved off the bench, and they just brought Kirk Muller in. So Kirk Muller's a new voice, and he's going to manage. And so Sutter got a lot of flack for how the forwards were lined up and all that stuff. Well, Edwards had a large say in that as well. Ryan Huska runs the D and the PK, and they just brought Cale McLean in to watch from the press box. And Sutter sets the pace and the tone and the message to the gentleman. But make no mistake, like those assistant coaches are in charge of the deployment, and so it's the Flames did make adjustments based on what they saw. Marty Gelinas and Flames legend and Ray Edwards are off the bench, and there's going to be new voices and more that are more in line with Sutter's message, I would believe. And I do think with an extended practice time, a full training camp, this team has the potential to be better than you think they are. Again, I still think they need a number one center somehow. It's going to be hard to get, but I do think that they can compete. Like Montreal doesn't have a surefire number one center, and look where they are. So it's possible. We've seen dream runs happen. 04 did happen. But they did make some office changes. Now we're just in a waiting game to see what happens with the roster changes. So.
I would have to agree with what you guys said. Like towards the end of the season, like you could finally see that things started to gel, and that the team finally started to play like I guess enjoyable hockey to watch, because the entire season was very, very rough. The losses to Ottawa, who were supposed to be I guess a guaranteed win. Thank you, Eric Francis. And like it was just a rough season overall. And I see Pernille smiling over there. Is there something you want to say about that?
I mean, I was just thinking of our boy James. James, Dinosaur Daryl doesn't really exist to John now, so that's kind of funny. We got to talk the Montreal Canadiens. Like, I thought that series with Vegas, Vegas was gonna steamroll them. If they were going to win, it was going to be on Carey Price's back. But Carey Price has been good. Yeah, he didn't need to be super Carey Price. I think Vegas outplayed them in like the last 3 games. The Habs. What are you guys' thoughts on the Habs? John, I'll go first.
I look at the series a little bit different than some people, because I pinpoint where the Montreal was better than Las Vegas. Yes, they got the goaltending, but Montreal has centers, actual centers that can play the game, centers that elevated their game, and they were going up against these guys that were playing out of position or playing up the roster where they probably shouldn't have been playing. And you go back to the old Bill Peters. Everyone loves Bill Peters, and a Bill Peters, quote, where your face-off is your first puck battle of your shift, of the entire shift. And Montreal was winning those puck battles. They were winning those possessions, and they weren't going to give Vegas anything easy, and they were able to take advantage of their opportunities. So for me, this series was a lot of Carey Price and a lot of great defensive play, but I think Montreal had a big edge up front there when they had their centers who could play center and play those roles, winning those puck battles, winning the possession for Montreal, and allowing them to play their game. Vegas wasn't able to answer that, and, well, the results speak for themselves.
Flash, your thoughts on the playoffs, and do you think the Habs will have a chance to beat the juggernaut Tampa Bay Lightning?
I mean, it's $20 million over the cap versus a regular team, so we'll see there. Tampa's breaking no rules, so I prefer Tampa to win. I would prefer teams with skilled forwards, like higher skilled forwards, to prevail, because this is a copycat league. People want to copy what wins, and so just for that reason, I'd like Tampa to win. But Montreal, man, they're on an absolute fun run right now. There is a difference. Playoff hockey, the what's allowed to happen in the middle of the ice, specifically in front of the net, is a lot different than the regular season. It can be defended a lot harder. More things are allowed to be let go. So teams with big, strong defensemen like Montreal can protect the middle of the ice a lot better without fear of penalties than they would more so in the regular season. So I think Montreal is a team that understands that they know they can get away with that stuff. And so good for them. I mean, Montreal did get outplayed by the Leafs for the majority of the series. They also got outplayed by Vegas for the majority of the series. But that don't matter. That's a beautiful thing about hockey. There's two things you can't control: is that shooting percentage and save percentage. That's something a lot of people don't understand. Is those are the two stats that fluctuate on any given basis. You've seen it. Old Carolina fans used to see it all the time. They'd have 50 shots on net and they lose the game 3-1. But the key is the quality of shots. And in the playoffs, teams with the big, strong D, if you look at the Final Four, all four of them had big, strong defensemen. Tampa's strong. Like their third pair has Mikhail Sergachev on it. Big guys, 6'4", 220 plus pounds that can, you try to get in the crease to get a good shot. They're not letting you. The Islanders had it, the Habs had it, the Vegas had it, and they all have it. And that's why the top four was the way the top four is. Those ultra skilled forwards like McDavid and McKinnon, they couldn't get to the slot. They couldn't get to the slot to score. McDavid drew 0 penalties in 4 games. That should be illegal in and of itself. We see enough of McDavid in Flames Nation that the guy's a cheat code. And the fact that you played 4 games against the defense that Winnipeg had, you're telling me Connor McDavid blew by Derek Forbort 10, 15 times and he didn't get a hooking call? Not once? It's a little different, but the rules are the same. The rules are for everybody. And those guys did it and they've made it, and props to them. It's fun. It's exciting, especially in Montreal. Everyone down in Quebec must be having an absolute blast right now. And but I do think that's the main difference. And the teams that made it far understand that you're allowed to defend the crease the way you do.
Great points. I mean, for me, you got to respect Tampa, but you can't jump on that bandwagon. 04, I've hated them since 04. The puck did cross the line. Anybody who says it didn't, you're all liars, and you should go to jail.
Pernil, you took the word right out of my mouth. In 04, it went in. That's one thing I wanted to talk about really quickly before we go to break, specifically aimed at John. You and James, I saw you guys had a little bit of an interaction on Twitter yesterday where you said that you were going to cheer for Tampa in the Stanley Cup final. You need to explain yourself, especially as a Flames fan.
It wasn't cheer for Tampa. That's my prediction. I always pick who I'm going to want to win, and I picked Tampa. And the reason I picked Tampa Bay, Flash alluded to it. They've got the big defensemen. They've got the goaltending. They've got the center depth down the middle, and they've got the actual depth. You talk about depth a lot with a lot of these teams in the final. Tampa's actually got the depth to roll with anybody. They can play any way you want. Look how they beat the Islanders in Game 7. It was a 1-0 game. They out-Islander the Islanders. So that's why I picked Tampa Bay. I'm not cheering for them, but that's why I picked them.
Thank you for clarifying, because I was going to get on your ass for that. That's for sure. This is a no Tampa zone here. You're not cheering for that team. Anyone who is cheering for that team, please log off right now, because we're not doing that here.
I cheer for one team, and then I make picks from there on out.
Okay, fair enough. I like it.
I like John. It's about being unbiased. Just picking. Hey, this is what it is. This is what I think. It doesn't matter that I don't like them. It doesn't matter that Vincent LeCavalier, Marty St. Louis, and Brad Richards robbed us. What matters is what's going on right now, boys. And
are you trying to break my heart, Flash? Is that something you want to do tonight? You want to see me cry on stream?
We all live with this pain every day, Kof. It's it's all present.
You guys want to see me cry on stream? I see what it is. Noah, what do you got to say here?
Well, I think everybody knows where I stand on this topic. It was in, and I have a shirt to prove that it was in 04. So there's that.
I love it. I love it. All right, we're going to go to a quick commercial break. We'll be back with the Infernal 403 podcast and our special guest, John Easthope and Flashalytics.
Buddha.
And we are back with the Infernal 403 podcast with our special guests, John Easthope and Flashalytics. But before we move on, like Old Man Lube says here, we got to pay the bills. So I'm going to shout out our sponsor, Broken Spirits Distillery. They're a distillery in Northeast Calgary. Go check them out, whatever you want to drink. From what I hear, they deliver anywhere in the city. So if you use our promo code Infernal403, they will give you 15% off. I think it's a good deal. I haven't been there myself. Once I get down to Calgary here in the next couple of weeks, that's the first place I'm headed. So please take advantage of that. 15% off. Promo code is Infernal403. Thanks, everyone. So before we move into our Into the Fire Flames trivia section of the show, I've got Chris here who wanted to bring up an important topic here with what Flames Twitter has been speaking about lately. Chris, can you do that for me?
Oh yeah, thanks, Kof. Yeah, I'm going to talk about the expansion draft here. There's a lot of discussion about letting Geo open for the expansion draft, and I'm so like 50-50 on it. Like, yeah, it would be a good idea because it would free up some cap, but at the same time, it's like that would kind of look bad on the team to let their captain open on the expansion draft. Like, how do you think it would look to the other players if that's how we do that? What would your guys' take be on who we should let go on the expansion draft? John, I'll start with you.
That conversation with Giordano is going to be a tough one to have, but I think it's one that the Flames need to have. You look at who else we have on the back end, and you can number the business side of the NHL is going to rear its ugly head. Is that conversation with Giordano? Because if it's not Giordano, it's going to be Chris Tanev, and that's an even tougher conversation to have as well. Unfortunately, the business side's on that side, I believe. There's a lot of good forwards also be available to Seattle in the draft. Don't underestimate what you see from some of these prospects like a Matthew Phillips. They might entice Seattle as well. And you got your local area guy in Derek Ryan. They could do what Vegas did with Derek England. Same thing could happen here with Derek Ryan. So there's a lot of moving pieces for this expansion draft, and whether they leave Giordano exposed or not is just a small portion of that for me. There's two sides of thinking about it. Do you leave him unprotected and hope Seattle takes him, or do you dangle something else in front of them that makes them stay away from Giordano? Interesting conversation for me. Let's lose a player and let's move on. Let's not expend all these other assets trying to protect one guy over another. Let them take a player and let's move on. If that's Giordano, that's Giordano. You move on from that. It's a conversation you have to have, and there's going to be a backup plan.
Yeah, I agree. I definitely would rather lose GL than lose someone like Matt Phillips. Matt Phillips definitely has a bright future, and I don't want to see him on Seattle at all. Flash, what do you think?
John said it, it's a business side of hockey. I mean, we all love Gio. He's played he's one of the He's close, so close. He's 952 games in a Flames uniform, I think. But he's 38 years old going into 39-year-old season. I mean, not many players play into their mid-40s. Like, you got to treat this like, what do you want going 2-3 years from now? And you're going to want Chris Tanev, Rasmus Anderson, and Noah Hannafin. The Flames are lucky that Valimaki's exempt. I mean, it's lucky in air quotes because of his unfortunate injury he had last year, but they're lucky they don't have to protect Valimaki, or this conversation would be a lot harder. You leave Gio exposed. Vegas got so much success from teams giving them stuff. It wasn't Vegas necessarily. Everyone's like, they were gifted this, they were gifted that. It was certain teams went out of their way to make bad decisions. Like Shea Theodore, who is probably going to be one of the number one defensemen on Team Canada at the next Olympics, assuming NHL players go, was traded to Vegas so they would not take someone else. Like, and then they took Stoner. They was traded so they take. You gave a number one defenseman away. William Karlsson, he was perpetually on the fourth line of Anaheim and Columbus before they gave him away. They traded a first round pick so they'd take him and avoid some other defensemen. The Islanders did it too. They gave a first round pick so they wouldn't take a defenseman that's not even on their team anymore. He was playing in the Flames minor leagues this year. So stop giving them stuff. Don't give them stuff. You're going to lose a player. It's going to happen. Whether it's your captain, that'd be unfortunate. Whether it be Lucic, who apparently has agreed to waive his no trade clause, that's possible too. You're going to lose somebody. It's very unlikely we get an Engelland situation again because Derek Ryan, Seattle might wait because, I mean, Flames got lucky because if Derek Engelland went to free agency and then signed with Vegas, then the Flames could have lost another player. They got lucky in that situation. They got lucky last draft. They might get lucky this draft. We don't know. It's a lot more enticing. The other thing no one's talking about is the Flames actually still have to sign a forward to meet the expansion requirements. So, like, the Flames need to make a roster move, signing somebody here in the next 2-3 weeks before the expansion draft takes place. Forward that meets the requirements. So, it might be they might re-sign a Brett Ritchie. They might re-sign Derek Ryan. It's got to be someone that's played enough games so they can leave them exposed for Seattle to take. Matthew Phillips is eligible, but he doesn't meet the requirements for exposure. So what's going to happen is going to happen. Like I said earlier in the podcast, a Jack Eichel move could spearhead something to a Monahan move, which changes everyone's conversation immediately. So you just got to play it by ear right now. As for Gio, I love the man. He's been the best defenseman since Al McInnes that the Flames have had. It'd be unfortunate if he was taken, but it is a business, and he's 38 years old. He's given his whole life to Calgary. He lives here. He will come back. He's always going to be loved. He's fantastic, but it is a business. So
that's really fair to say. But I do want to throw one thing out to everybody, not just Flash and John here, and then we'll move on to Into the Fire. Would you consider making a handshake deal to keep Gio? So I'll start with John.
No. Flat out no.
Flat out no?
For me, this expansion draft is you make your list, you lose your player, you move on.
Okay, fair enough. Flash, what are you thinking?
Not even remotely. Not even remotely. Just not worth it. It's not worth it. It's not worth giving up something when you're going to lose something anyways. And the pieces that are exposed, yeah, Gio helps, but I mean, you got to plan for a future without him anyways. At this point, you got to be trying to look at that outlook, and the cap space could help. So, absolutely not.
Fair enough. Noah, what are you thinking?
Well, I want to jump in too here, and I say that you were actually to make a handshake deal, with Seattle for you to keep Gio. Like, dumbest decision you can possibly make. Like, that'd be horrible. It'd be a horrible decision to make. So I'm with both Flash and John as well, and say flat out no.
Okay. Pernille, I'm skipping Pernille because I know what he's going to say. He's going to say, get Gio the out of Calgary. All right, Chris.
Wait. You got to let me talk. Yeah, I got to give my reasons, man. Okay. Number one is the assets, right? we cannot give assets up to protect a 38 going into 39-year-old defenseman. And if you're listening to all the rumors, Seattle's wants the top. They want first or second rounds to not take guys. That's not. That's at this point of this organization, how they're building, how they're going. Flat out no.
Chris.
I would say no as well, but I'm at the same time, again, it's like, how is that going to look if we leave our captain exposed? But I mean, yeah, he is 39. Like, yeah, no, don't do that. So I'm with everyone else.
I would like to say that he was an undrafted walk-on player that made it, played over 950 games with the organization, only Norris Trophy winning defenseman in Flames history. He is already a legend forever in my eyes. The things he's done for the community is fantastic. So even if he does go, it's not because I want him to go. It's not. I don't think it's because anyone wants him to go. It's just a situation. It's time. Seattle ponied up $650 million to have a team. So the situation's arising. We love Gio. Everyone loves Gio, but what's going to happen is going to happen, and trying to save it at this point is just not realistic.
Couldn't agree more.
That's fair. And I would disagree with you, Flash. I know Pernille wants Gio gone, so I don't know if I don't know if what you said is exactly accurate on his point, but
I'm gonna bring a binder to Pernille's house with some charts and sit him down and learn them.
No, it's not for me. It's different. We can get into this like more. I think Gio analytically, since we like to talk analytically, didn't have a bad season. Him and that Rasmus Anderson pairing were really bad together. I mean, everybody talked about it. They just, for some reason, previous year they looked like they were going to be the top pairing in for the Calgary Flames. But this year they just didn't mesh. Rasmus Anderson has struggled. With Gio, for me, it's always been about culture change. And as much as Gio is a great player, great leader, great whatever, I think it's just time for like this organization to have some change, and the change, exposing Gio and having Seattle take him might be the easiest way to have a culture change.
That's a fair point, but I think I'm on an island here. I think I know you guys think it's dumb, but I personally offer the I'd do the handshake deal, because I don't know if I want to see Gio go to, one, a division rival, and two, I don't know where our defense ends up. Like, I know we have Chris Tanev and we have Noah Hannafin, but like we said, Rasmus Anderson had a horrific season. Like, it was bad, and you can tell that that Darryl just doesn't trust Juuso Välimäki. He just doesn't. Like, he hasn't been putting him in positions to succeed, and it just hasn't been working out for him. So
I would say with a full season of training camp and practice, Sutter could find some more familiarity with his players and his D. Something he didn't get. He came right in and had to put quarantine and then just jumped right into coaching. So I think that extended time could help. Juuso Välimäki's super skilled player. He's not going. He's definitely an NHL player, and he'll make it work, I think. But I think the more practice time, you'll see some of these players round into their roles properly.
fair enough. That's a fair assessment of things. And I'd love to talk about all this stuff all day, but it's time to throw you two into the fire now. So I'm sure you guys know the deal. We have a bunch of Flames trivia questions for you guys. We're gonna I guess test you and see how well you know your Flames trivia from the team over the years. So on this one, you guys will be working together. It'll be 8 questions. I'll ask you guys 4 each. Depending on how well you guys do, you win a prize at the end of the season. Maybe it's Vi's house. Who knows? I don't know. But
you mean his trailer? Just kidding.
Vi, Chris said it, not me. Okay.
Take his house, but you don't want his internet.
We definitely don't want his internet.
McDonald's internet. Come on.
But yeah, that's how it's gonna go. So whenever you guys are ready, let's start with John. But I'm gonna throw you a softie. So question number 1: who is the mascot of the Calgary Flames?
Harvey the Hound.
Harvey the Hound is the correct answer. So you guys are 1 for 1. Flash, I'm ramping up the difficulty on you. I'm sorry, but I got to do it. Which Flame played more than 50 games with the team and had a team high 231 penalty minutes? So this is a multiple choice question. Your options are Jerome McGinley, Christophe Oluwa, Chuck Kobasu, or Brian Berard.
You know, a lot of people don't realize or remember that Christophe Oliwa was such a goon. So, yeah, it's I be Christophe Oliwa.
Well, that answer is correct. Christophe Oluwa is is the correct answer there. From what I see, he only played 54 minutes with the Flames during that 03-04 season, but somehow amassed 231 penalty minutes, which doesn't even make any sense to me, but he did it. So you guys are 2 for 2. John, back to you. In Game 4 of the Stanley Cup championship run, which winger was given a 5-minute major penalty for boarding, a 10-minute major, and a single-game suspension for a hard hit against a Tampa Bay Lightning player? This is a multiple-choice question, so your 4 options are Martin Sonnenberg, Andrew Ference, Ville Nieminen, or Martin Jelena.
Oh, gee, I have no idea. I don't remember, to be honest. So let's go with Nima. Little Nemo.
Nieminen is the correct answer. So you guys are 3 for 3. I'm impressed. Here for Flash, I'll throw you a little bit of an even harder one.
Oh.
What day did the Calgary Flames become the Calgary Flames?
Oh. Now you're I don't know. After the season, before they moved from Atlanta to Calgary, it'd be April 20th. 1970. I can't even remember. It's 71 or 72.
Oh, that's I think here I'll ask that question again. What day did the Calgary Flames become the Calgary Flames? Not the Atlanta Flames. What day did the Atlanta Flames become the Calgary Flames?
Oh, I also don't know that. I'm gonna take the X on this one. I'm gonna take the X. I don't know that one. I've never actually. I just love them, and they've existed since I was born. So
that's fair. It was a tough question, but the answer is May 21st, 1980. That's the day the Calgary Flames became the Calgary Flames. So you guys are 3 for 4. I feel like that wasn't a fair question, but I had to give you a hard one. I had to give you a real hard one. So
I did all that trivia last time, and now you guys brought the hard ones for me.
Yeah, Vi took it easy on you. I'm not Vi. So I guess this will be question number 5 for John here. Who did Calgary trade to get Craig Conroy?
Which time?
The first time.
Corey Stillman.
Corey Stillman is the correct answer. You guys are now. That would make you what? 4 for 5, 5 for 6, 4 for 5, 4 for 5. All right, I'll give you an easy one for that hard one that I gave you there, Flash. Who was the first Flames player in history to lead the team in points and goals in the season?
Was it?
Sorry, the first Flames player to lead the league in Flames in points. In points and goals. Yeah.
In points and goals? Oh, league. Yeah. Okay, because I was starting to think of Kent Nilsson there back in the day, but I was like, he never led the league because those were the Gretzky years, so he had no chance of leading the league. The points and goals, that would be Mr. Jerome McGinley.
Oh, you got it. The answer is Mr. Jerome McGinley.
Yeah.
So you guys would be 5 for 6, eh? All right, back to John. Question number 7. Who did Calgary pick 166th in the 1987 draft?
$1987. I feel I should know this one, but I don't. 87. I'm going to go Flurry on that one.
Well, you got it. Theodore Fleury is the correct answer. So you guys would be 6 for 7. Flash, it's up to you. You can either make it 7 for 8 or 6 for 8. So.
Oh, now you're gonna give me a curveball again. Give me the easy
I'm
one.
giving you a curveball, my friend. How many goals did Joe Nieuwendyk score in his rookie year?
His rookie year?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I know it's over 50. I just got to pick the right number. Because it's still a record to this day. Most goals ever by a rookie in a Flames uniform. It's 52 or 54. I got to pick one. I'm going to go with 54.
That is incorrect. The answer is actually 51. So you were close, but
got to spend more time in the records section of NHL 21.
So you guys made it 6 for 8. I'd say that's pretty good. Like that's 75%. You can't be too upset with that. So hopefully that record.
I went 4 for 4. Don't.
Yeah, I'm the one that drug him down. I'll take it.
I'm sorry. This is a team game. I can't I can't exempt you from Flash dragging you down. So it's 6 for 8. Hopefully that record stands. You guys, if it does, you guys will win some sort of prize at the end of the season. Like I say, it's probably Vi's house. I think that's a pretty good prize if you guys ask me. I don't know what you guys. You don't want his house?
I don't. If Vi's been in there, I don't want it.
That's probably the right answer.
Yeah, we'll need a deep clean on that bad boy.
Do you hear that, Lube? I don't want your house, man.
Now we know why Flash didn't want to try. And I thought Analytics couldn't save Flash there, but he did it on purpose.
Amazing. Well, I think that's it for this edition of the Infernal 403 podcast. I'd like to thank Flashalytics and John Easthope for coming on. Well, I'll start with you, Flash. Where can we find you? What do you want to plug on the podcast?
Right now, I'm at Flames Nation. I just recently started there. We're getting some draft coverage. I'm going to have the same draft coverage I did last year. Lots of charts on these rookies that are available and who the Flames take. Up-to-date coverage on everybody, so you can get some information, at least, especially in the 5th and 6th, 7th rounds when you don't hear these guys usually, and whatnot. And then going forward this season, I'm going to be a full-time writer at Flames Nation and contributing, doing my usual stuff. I'm just excited to reach a bigger audience and just interacting with everybody. So you can always tag me. My Twitter name's on the bar there. If you ever want to interact or have questions about analytics, lay them on me. I'm always down to help learn.
Perfect. Thank you very much for coming on. John, where can we find you? What do you want to plug?
Yeah, you can find me on all social media. Johnny84. On my Twitter feed, you can also find all of the links for my shows, both Double Digit Hockey Show and for Johnny's Rants. And you can find, I forgot this earlier when Kova asked me, you can find myself on Spotify as well for my podcast. Go ahead and subscribe to the YouTube page as well. I'll have all the latest there for you every week.
Beautiful. And I think before this podcast, John had a Johnny's Rant that he just finished. So be on the lookout for that. I will personally. And like I said, thank you very much from myself, Chris, Noah, and Pernille. We're signing out. Have a good night. All right, boys. What do you think so far?
Quick feedback just from me, quick Kof, in regards to your moderating. Very, very solid job so far, buddy. You're doing very, very well.
I appreciate it.
Lube is fired.
Yeah.
I didn't think I was doing that good a job, but I'm glad you guys think so. So
There's a lot of discussion about letting Gaudreau open for the expanded draft. And I'm so like on the 50-50 of it. At first I was like, yeah, for sure, let him go.
Chris,
then,
Chris, sorry, I have to
you said
interrupt here.
Gaudreau.
I think he meant Giordano.
Sorry,
Yeah,
oh god damn. Wow.
We'll restart that.
Jesus.
We'll restart that.
I'm thinking of Johnny. Okay, go start again. My bad.
I'd also like to say, Kofi, you did a hell of a job. Our leader was unprofessional today. Didn't show up. He dropped the ball. But I think we got a replacement, and we could send Luke to the retirement home where he belongs.
Pernille, I appreciate you, my friend. Thank you very much. Have a good night, everybody.
3, 2, 1.
Fuck Blue.
You're fired.
There we go.
You're fired. Get out of here.